Hey, and we live, we live, we live, we live. Hey, and we live, we live. We out here in the Bronx. That's it. That's all you need to know. We out here in the Bronx, and we about to have another conversation.
Right.
Yes, we out here. But who are you? What's your name, that's
Clarissa. My
Clarissa?
name is Clarissa Alayeto,
Okay.
South Bronx.
South Bronx, Clarissa Alayeto. We all out here trying to get to know her a little bit better. So we want to talk about you, about where you're at in life right now. Like, what are you doing with yourself right now?
So currently, I'm a community activist here in the South Bronx. I grew up in Patterson Projects, the My Haven section of the Bronx, the South Boogie.
Okay. Let's stop right there for a second.
Yep.
Right? So now what I'm getting from you, say a community activist, right? What are you doing that can make you consider yourself a community activist?
So I try to I try to make myself available to everyone. I'm always out in the community looking for resources, especially for our youth.
Yeah.
I want to be that outlet for them. A lot of our young people they don't know how to navigate through a lot of the obstacles that they're facing. So I like to go out in the community, find resources, or even outside of the community,
Yes.
and bring that back.
No, that's good.
You know,
though,
I like to
have
mobilize our families and young people.
So what's like? Give me like two examples of the resources that you went out and found and helped somebody.
So I started this organization called Yo That's Peace.
Okay.
And Yo That's Peace came about because there was a lot of gun violence in the community.
Hold on for a second. This is this right here. The Yo, that's the piece right there. So y'all can see my bad. Right there. There we go. Okay, keep going. My bad.
So I was a teenager. I experienced a lot of, you see a lot of violence in our communities. You see, I saw two people get killed. I saw one get killed in the car, another one get killed while I was looking out the window, and he happened to be a friend of mine.
Yeah,
so,
sorry to hear that.
those are trauma to, an adolescent or a teenager, where this is a community where it becomes the norm.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
after going through that, and then in 2011, a young boy was killed in the back of my building, and he was, how old was Johnny? Johnny was 16, and I knew his mom. His mom knew me, growing up in the community, and I said, enough is enough. We got to do something about it. So I went out and I started this community organization called Yo That's Peace. I did was, through basketball and getting our young people out there, talking to young people about the importance of nonviolence in the community, in schools, where I work, and any chance I get, I'm always talking to young people about, the importance of nonviolence.
It's good because a lot of people don't do that. And that's the thing, like, it's sad to say that you witnessing people getting killed is a regular day for a black person.
Right.
It's regular, like, and it's
Right.
not. It's not something you want to get used to, but that's normal for us.
Normal.
And
It's unfortunate.
it's sad because it's so normal for us that it's normal for everybody else to see that we go through. It's like, oh, that's just another black kid, and that's why a lot of the stuff that's happening with the cops killing these kids is no real penalties or nothing for them, because it's like, well, that happened to them all the time.
Right.
And that's not right, because then it makes us feel like we're not a human, or we're not important as black people. And the thing and that's part of the reason why I do these type of shows, because like how you said, you want to reach out to different communities and get these people, like, as in networking or whatever, to help your community. That's part of it, but it's also to let people understand that when we look mad or we're on the street or something, it's not just for nothing. Because sometimes we go through a lot, like black people in general, through a regular day. And I'm not just saying only black people, but that's what I can speak from my experience. You understand? Like, I've witnessed family members, I'm not family, people get killed, and a family member too. So that's not easy. You know what I mean? All watching them, standing over them, trying to talk to them as they're, it's not easy to witness those type of things.
And I think, not to cut you off,
No,
but the hard part is, we witness these things in our community, and there's no intervention, right?
Yeah.
There's no therapy for it. It's like killing after killing after killing, and our mental health is diminishing because all of these things, all this trauma that we're facing in our communities, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not even just that, because you go from the killings in your neighborhood, then you got to go to school, where school is like, you have teachers that are great teachers, but the teachers don't have support in the school, so they don't get as much support as they're supposed to get. And now that all of that together, as a kid growing up, you see this like, okay, I'm used to getting killed. All I see that's good that's going on in my neighborhood is these drug dealers on the block with this. When I was young and I'd be like, yo, let me get $1, and they give me $1, they pulling out all this money, and I'm like, I don't see that anywhere else.
Right.
So that's like my next thing to do. Let me be a drug dealer.
That's the only way to get money. That's the only way I see to get money right.
There is a lot of ways to get money, but we don't get the same opportunity as certain other neighborhoods that work together.
Right.
Or that get stuff, because you know some of these neighborhoods work together so good. Like, okay, if you like me, I've gone through like a Jewish neighborhood where the Jewish people in their neighborhood they stick together. Not even though I'm talking about just Jewish people. The craziest thing about it is that you can never drive through their neighborhood fast. Not even 5 miles over speed limit, because their kids are always in the street. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like, okay, so now we know you can't go there, because if you hit one of their kids, you're going to jail for life. You know what I mean? But if you hit one of our kids, you never know.
Right. And
that's the sad part. But let's get back to more about what you're doing in the community. And matter of fact, let's take it a little further back. Let's go back to you and being in school. I always like to start in middle school, because I feel like in middle school, to me, you're always finding yourself.
Right.
It's a lot of like trying to, should I be like that or should I be like this? So in middle school, how was it for you?
So it's funny. It's funny because I was reading a book. It's titled Amazing Grace. It's by John Colesville. Okay. And he talks about the Mahaven community back in the 90s. And as I'm reading, I'm saying, this still happened. Nothing's changed. It's like I'm reading a book about today. Yeah. And I'm thinking about the school that I went to, middle school, which was IS 183 right here in Mahaven, Paul Robeson, which is now Bronx Letters and all these other schools in one.
Yeah, because they're pushing everybody together. It's so
right.
crazy.
And I'm thinking about my middle school years. And middle school was a time where I was finding myself. And I still didn't find myself till way after middle school. But middle school was definitely a time where I felt like, what group do I fit into? You know, where am I? I'm going to dress like this. I was a big tomboy. Yeah. So I definitely was like, I definitely didn't see myself where I'm at today. But the one thing that I can say is that I had people in my life that were my outlet. So my coach, my basketball coach in middle school, you know, I had my grandparents who were from the old school. Yeah. You know, so I had certain people where my dad wasn't active. He wasn't in my life as often as I might have wanted him to be, or as often as he needed to be. I still had outlets to kind of
fill in a little bit, not all the way, but just enough to get you on the right path.
Right. So I think in middle school there was, it's a time where you could lose kids too, because
it is.
You know, I look back and there's a lot of people that I went to school with in middle school who 8th grade was it for them. They didn't go to high school, you know, and they didn't have the outlets. They didn't have the mentors. They didn't have those positive adults, right? Yeah. We didn't hear about college in middle school like you hear about it now. I graduated middle school in 1996. Yeah. So you didn't hear about college. I was like, graduate high school and that's it. We out here. We good. We getting paid, right? Reality check. When you graduate high school, it's like, damn, ain't no jobs.
Yeah, you gotta really search, and I think that's a tough thing to talk about. Let's kind of slide off the topic for a minute. Just talking about finding jobs. For some people, it really is hard. Right. You know, and it really sucks, because finding a job, if some of you people don't know, it's even harder if your name is a name that they can't pronounce, or it might sound a certain ethnicity. Right. You know, and because, you know, you can have a crazy name and then you come into an interview. I know you've had interviews where they've had names and you be like, you're already like, oh, this person's going to probably be like this. And then they're the complete opposite. Right. You know, so your name really does make a difference.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, that's one of your first impressions is your name. So, you know, that's a tough thing. But let's get to, let's go more to like high school. I don't want to stay too much.
So high school was tough, right?
Why?
I wasn't the best student in high school, and I work with high school students. I've been working with high school kids now for 4 years, and I keep it real. Like, I tell my story because they need to hear this, right? In our community, you can't paint the picture. You can always say you do what you want to do, right? The sky's the limit, right? You tell every child that, but in reality, we all have different obstacles that we have to overcome. And in high school, there was a lot of things, right? there were so many things that I was susceptible to.
Yeah.
Whether it was cutting school, whether it was smoking weed, you know, these are things,
Just
distractions,
right
easy for you to derail and go left, you know. So high school was challenging, but again, if I didn't have these mentors, like I like to play basketball, so basketball was an outlet.
Yeah.
You know, I had my coaches always on me. I had my grandparents. I had one friend out of my whole crew who was already on their way to college, right? And that one friend was always around, and she would always say, look, this is what you got to do. You want to go here, you want to go to college, this is what you got to do, right? But everybody's journey is different. And I hear the story when we telling our teenagers, oh yeah, you going to college. But my philosophy is not always go to college. It's as long as you have a plan that's going to create success for you, then you on the right path. I'm not gonna tell you to go to college, because college is not for everybody, and that's the reality.
But I say honestly, the reason why I only say go to college for some people, because it's better to say go and then they stop,
right?
Because they learn from experience.
Right.
Because a lot of people learn from experience, than to say don't go, because sometimes people have plans, and when those plans don't work, that's it. But if you tell them, okay, go to college, they might go to college like, oh, I didn't want to be that, and they end up doing something else, and now they're like, now their plan has changed and they're working more different. So I always tell them, go to college. If you don't like it, cool. Also, remember, you're going to get knocked down a lot, but you got to get back up.
Right.
So even when you go to college, you might not like that. You might go do something else, but you got to keep going. You got to get that long-term goal and work towards it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so
definitely.
How was college for you, though?
So college was another journey. Education in the South Bronx, man. This is what I tell you. So I went to, right out of high school, I went to Bronx Community College. My grandparents, I was raised by my grandparents, and they pretty much my grandmother gave me an ultimatum. She said, listen, you graduate high school, you're either going to the military or you're going to college, but you're not going to be here and work full time and think you're just going to get by, you know, because you're working. So I went and I took the test to join the Air Force, but I was a little overweight, so I had to work hard to lose the weight. So I was like, I'm not doing all that. 9/11 happened, and tomorrow's 9/11, so it's like 15 years. So 9/11 happened, and I really was like, you know what? Let me just go to school. Let me just do late registration at BCC, which I did, and I went to school. I finished out a year. I was like, this ain't for me. But I was fortunate enough, right? You always gotta have a plan. I was fortunate enough to have certain jobs that provided experience, because I knew I wanted to major in sports management. So I was like, you know what, let me stay in a field that has to do with sports, whether sneakers, whatever it is. So I worked with Nike, Adidas, NBA. I had those kind of jobs. So I did college for 1 year, then I did all these other jobs. It wasn't until I started working at CCNY, Charleston, New York, where I was like, man, I love doing this work. You know, I was a site director at one of the sites in South Jamaica for an OST program, after school program, and I was like, I love this work, but how can I advance? You need that degree. Well, I went back to school. I finished out BCC, transferred over to Hunter, graduated from Hunter in 2013. It took me 9 years to finish school.
It don't matter, you finished.
But I did it.
Yeah,
right?
That's good. Congratulations.
And thank you. Absolutely. So
no, that's good, because you got to think about it. Like, you saying 9 years may be like, oh, it took forever, but sometimes it's gonna take forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just trying to get to where you want to be at. Like, we got coming up next, we're gonna have a younger gentleman on, and he's gonna talk about him rapping. But that doesn't mean that you, just because you go do certain things as a rapper or whatever, like you're just gonna get on like that.
Right.
You know, it happens for some people, but it doesn't happen for everybody. So, I want to talk right now, because just like I was saying about it, it doesn't happen for everybody. What was something that was really, really difficult for you? Like, really difficult that you was like, it really kind of put you down, but then you got over it. Or maybe you didn't get over it.
You know, graduating high school was difficult. It wasn't easy. Straight up, I didn't have the traditional, because I did so much cutting in 9th grade that I was behind by the time it was time for me to graduate. So now I have to make up credits. So I was faced with not only having to make up 14 credits in one semester, but I also had to take Regents exams and pass my math Regent in that one last semester of school. So I went to AM school, which was getting up in the morning at 4:30 to make sure I was on the bus by 5, to be in the school by 5:30. And I wasn't getting home until late night because I had night school on Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and I had a Saturday class. So
that's a lot.
Graduating high school was definitely like, I can't do this, I can't do it, but I did it and I persevered. So now everything else, now I look back and I reflect and I say, you know what, if I did that, and that was one of my most challenging times, my most trying times in life, I know that I could continue. I know there's something else I could do. And that's a story I tell my young people, because everybody doesn't have the traditional life, especially in our community. Like, we don't get that. It's not easy. We don't have a smooth ride. By the time we graduate, we got 4 years of a scholarship waiting for us. We don't have that, right? So it's definitely, and that's the thing. A lot of people think that it's very simple. It's very easy, in the sense of like getting through anything. And that's another reason why I have this show, is because I don't know anybody that had an easy life. I don't know anybody that had it easy, that made it there. Even the people that are athletic or that made it to the NBA, whatever, it wasn't easy for them. Right. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you say. I don't think anybody really just woke up and was just like, here, that's it. Only way that happens is if you inherit something, and that's easy. You just take the money and do what you gotta do. But other than that, the majority of the people, like 90% of people, 95 matter of fact, % of people have to work extra hard for everything they get, no matter how easy it looks for them. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of the biggest thing that I really want to get the message across in general. Like, you know, you speaking about your life and you're telling people now, people hear that and they're like, oh, okay, you know, for somebody looking at you, you could be one of the most successful people. Right. And I'm not taking that. And people think, that it's easy, right? Yeah. Like I tell a lot of our young people emulate the rappers and they emulate the basketball players, and I'm saying, they don't just show up on a screen and do all this magic. No. They're in the studios when we're sleeping. Right? They're grinding. They have sleepless nights. They're putting in work, and we don't see that work. So what happens to our young people is they get caught up in this illusion that you can just show up on the screen and be nice or think you nice and you're going to get signed, or, you know, you're going to get this contract. It don't work like that. It doesn't. You got to grind. You got to grind hard. You got to reach the point where you think you can't take it no more and burst out of that, and then, you know, see that. You got to hit the bottom. Right. Like, really bottom. I'm talking about, you got to be like, nights when you're crying, you're mad, you're confused, you want to give up. That is when you have to push through. You got to keep pushing until you get to the end of that tunnel, or until you get closer to the light. Because you don't really get into to the end of the tunnel until you really feel like you're successful. And that's like where you get to a point where maybe you could be complacent if you want to, but it's not always good, because if you want whatever you're doing to last and to be forever, you got to keep pushing hard through it. You know what I mean? When you was working with the kids, or as you do now, like how is that like fulfilling to you, other than just saying, okay, I like working with them? Like, what is it that makes you happy working with them? It's the fact that I know that I'm investing in something that if I'm not here tomorrow, I know that will continue, right? So I'm planting seeds that I know that if I'm not here will grow, flourish, and be successful. Like, you know, I'm that outlet. We're setting up our young people to grow. Yeah. You know, and that's one of the things that makes me love the work that I do, right? It's like, if I change one child's life, I'm good. But I'm out there to like, and I'm not even trying to change. I'm not trying to change your life. I'm just trying to help you navigate through it when the system is set up and the odds are against us. Yeah, so many hurdles. You know what I mean? I understand. I definitely understand. Like for me, when I work with kids, and I was working at a program too, I was working at Harlem Children's Zone as a program manager. Not program manager, one of the site managers. It is fulfilling to like be more hands-on with the kids, and you be like, oh, what's 1 + 1? And they're like, I don't know, but it's 2. Now they're like, and then you ask them another day, like, what's 1 + 1? They're like, it's 2. And you're like, oh, so I taught you something. And it is fulfilling to see them happy and want to see you and talk to you, and it definitely helps when you're able to calm a kid down that nobody else can really calm down or get through to them. You know, so it definitely is a good feeling. So what do you have like that's going on in a sense for your future or something? Like, what else you got going on? So I think my ultimate goal is eventually to become a policymaker, you know, some kind of elected official where I know that I can directly make some change for our young people, for our families in communities like my own.
Okay.
So I think my ultimate goal is to eventually become this policymaker in education, you know, to just break those barriers in our system, to break those things, that systematic racism, you know, to...
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying. I'm trying to see if we get a little bit more light, because I don't want to move everything. We definitely want to see each other. What about this? What about, okay, first, let's talk about your social medias.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell everybody about your social medias, like whatever you have, just so they can tune in. And
yeah, definitely. You can catch me on Instagram at cool_riss. And Yo That's Peace. Okay. So it's Yo That's Peace. That's is with the Z. So it's Yo That's Peace. You could go online, Twitter, it's Yo That's Peace. Instagram, Facebook, check us out. We're having a youth summit coming up. We pushed the date back. It was supposed to be in August, but we're gonna make it happen for October. Okay. So look out for that. And our youth summit should be phenomenal.
Youth summit? Like, what is
we're trying to bring out some speakers to talk to our young people. We're trying to have tabling, so different resources that are not, you know, available. We got to meet our kids where they are. So we're gonna do this in the community, right? Cool. We could do it in the basketball court. We're thinking of ways to be strategic about, well, how do we reach our kids, right? Because the other day I posted. We're putting flyers in every building about events that we're having, but nobody's showing up. So at what point do we start knocking on doors, right? Like, hey, what's up? It's what we're having, right? We can't just assume that everybody knows how to read.
Yeah, that's true, because it's not easy for a lot of people.
Right. When people tell me, I put flyers, I'm like, but are they in both languages or 3 languages? Did you consider people who don't know how to read? What about the blind? Like, we gotta, we gotta make sure we hit all.
So you saw your social medias. I definitely want to tell people that's tuning in. You gotta always tune in and check out the Rain Check Show. We definitely out here to help. So like some of the stuff she's talking about, we're gonna talk about off camera, just how I can help and how I can do some things. What I do want to is also talk about is if you can tell me more people that's out there trying to do things that may want to come on, the show, or that might want to tune in, or even what other things that we can team up and do for the community. You know what I mean, for your community, because it's still our community.
So, I think for our youth summit, we're definitely gonna need people to come out, volunteer.
Yes.
So you'll find information on our website, on our Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. But there's a lot of things that are happening in this community. We got, right now, like, one of the guys that grew up in Patterson wrote this play. It's called The Checklist. So if you guys haven't heard about that, it's called The Checklist. And tickets are right now being sold at Lima. It's going to be playing, what day is The Checklist? September the 25th? The 24th. And it's going to be at Lima College. And the play is hilarious. It's a romantic comedy. And that's a positive thing when you see people, coming from the projects, the hood, and really making things happen. He's a writer, he's a producer. He's got, all these people from the community in his play, taking them to Broadway, exposure, So check out The Checklist. It's a phenomenal play. It's awesome. And there's a lot of people I can't think of right now, but we'll get them out here.
Well, this is what we're gonna do. We definitely gonna tune in. Like I always say, this is not the last, and this is the first, but not the last. And I always say too, get your own on your own. And when I say that, I mean that more so to get yourself together. And if you can get yourself together and do what you have to do, you can definitely help your community or your friends, your family around you. You got to be happy. And we're gonna be back in about 10 minutes because we got another one coming up in a second. But I do want to thank you again for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Look, she hit me up yesterday and I came today. This is how serious it is. I don't play. So
games.
If you hit me up, I'm going to come. We're in the Bronx once again. We out here. We got another one coming up. Thank you. And we out.